Today we have some very special guests. Some might say the most special guests joining us on the show today. Keep listening to hear what our kids say is their favorite Points and Miles trip and where they hope to visit on points in the future. Welcome to Points Talk with the Travel Mom Squad. We are three moms who've discovered how to leverage credit card welcome offers to get hundreds of thousands of dollars of travel expenses for nearly free. We've used credit card points and miles to take vacations to places like Hawaii, Paris, Greece, Maldives, Japan, and so much more. And the best part, we each still have 800 plus credit scores. Imagine being able to take the vacation of your dreams for nearly free. It's totally possible, and we're here to show you how. Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Jess. Let's talk points. So like Alex said, we have our kids on the podcast today, but before we bring them on, shocker, they're not going to be standing around the entire time because that would be a disaster.
I mean, it could still be a disaster.
It could.
We're hoping we'll see how this goes.
Could still be a disaster, but hopefully less of a disaster. But we want to talk a little bit before we bring them on just about family travel on points and miles. A lot of people ask us if it's possible to travel on points and miles with a big family. Alex has 4 young boys. I have an 11-year-old daughter, and then I have 3 older stepkids. And so we each travel a few times a year with our families of 6. So yes, it's totally possible. We've been doing this for years. I think I'm in my 9th year. I think Alex is in her 7th or 8th year. And so we have been doing this for a very long time with large families. Totally possible. It's necessary. Like if we were paying cash for our families of 6, we probably wouldn't be vacationing, or we would be taking road trips or something very budget friendly and maybe once a year.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel like when people ask that, is this possible with a large family? I'm like, if anybody needs it, it's the large families, because how else are people affording to take their families on vacation?
Right.
So the first thing we want to talk about is, yes, when you are traveling with a family, it is going to cost you more points. And I kind of think that's what gets people hung up is I'm going to have to earn more points, and I'm going to have to, open more cards maybe. Like that sounds really hard, but if you're spending money, you're going to have to spend more money. It's just life in general for big families. You're going to have to spend more money on groceries. Like you're going to have more healthcare costs. Like everything is more expensive with a bigger family. And so it's no different with points and miles. It's going to cost you more points. But I think sometimes people get hooked on this idea that it's all or nothing. It's like, I've got to get my whole trip paid for with points, or else this wasn't worth it, or I didn't do it right. And I feel like that is the furthest thing from the truth. I think for some people, when they first get started, it can feel very overwhelming if that's the mentality you're going into it, that I have a big family and we have to pay for this all on points, versus I'm going to open a card and I'm going to earn some points and I'm going to offset some of these costs for my family. Now, that being said, I went in planning that we were going to pay for the whole trip, but I think most people, they may get overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
I was a little like, go big or go home. I think my mom was definitely that way. I think you were that way too, but that's not the case, I think, for most people. They kind of dip their toes into the hobby a little bit first. And so I just want to give people permission to know, like, that is okay to say, you know what, we're just going to get flights and then we're going to pay cash for an Airbnb or something like that. Or we're going to, use points for a hotel stay and then look for cheap flight deals. I know a lot of people in Utah subscribe to Flights from Home. That's a really popular cash deal flight service. And that's a really great option. But then you can offset those hotel expenses with your points. And so you don't have to go all or nothing. But like I said, if you want to, you can. That's kind of how we do things. So I usually pay for all of our flights, all of our hotel stay for my entire family with points. So it is totally possible to do it all. So the key thing though is if you do want to do it all, and I will preface this too, is we travel more now than we ever have. When I first when I first was getting started, we maybe went on, one bigger family trip and one smaller trip a year. Or, the first couple of years, we probably just did one family trip. And that was really great. And we've built up to this where we're traveling 3-4 times a year, sometimes even a little bit more than that when you factor in traveling for kids' sports and things like that. And so to be able to travel as much as I am now, we're pretty much constantly always working on a minimum spend. There's not really a time where I'm just or there very rarely is a time where we're just earning points on cards that we already have. So that's like a key thing if you want to go on a lot of trips with your family and you have a big family, you're just gonna wanna keep earning points and miles. And I think sometimes people think, "Oh, it's gonna take me so long to earn the points." And I thought that way when I got started, but really, once you get going, I have found that the points just start racking up rather quickly, especially if you have a player too, and you can refer each other back and forth to those cards.
And the silver lining of having a big family when it comes to minimum spend is that it's really easy to hit some of those higher minimum spends that maybe some of like the solo travelers or the couples aren't able to hit. Like today, I'm paying for Molly's braces and I'm paying for tuition for two of my stepkids. Like I can hit these minimum spends so quickly because the more people you have, the more expenses you're going to have, especially when kids are involved. And so that is the silver lining for me, at least. I assume for you as well.
100%. We actually my oldest just got braces, like, 2 weeks ago, and so it was like, "Oh, literally hit a minimum spend just on getting braces."
Yeah.
Like, it's just kinda crazy. So, like, not fun, obviously, to spend $3,000 on braces, but when you're like, "Hey, I just got some free flights out of it," it definitely makes it a lot less painful.
Yeah.
So another thing that we do to earn a lot of points and miles is to get a lot of business cards. So we're applying for a lot of business cards. Reason being is they don't count towards the Chase 524 rule. And so it doesn't lock us down on not being able to apply for as many cards. If we're just sticking to personal cards, we're going to go over the 524 rule and get locked out of, all of those great Chase cards. So that's really, really crucial for us as well, and I just wanna emphasize, I know we talk about this all the time, but it's so much easier to get a business card than you think. My first business was Facebook Marketplace. That was my husband's first business. We'll put a link in the show notes to our blog post all about how to qualify for business cards because that is going to take your points and miles earnings to the next level. Can you be successful just with personal cards? For sure. Like that's the thing that sometimes people ask is like, "Can I be successful at this or this?" And it's like, "Yeah, for sure." Like some free travel is better than no free travel. And so if you're only going to open a couple cards or you're only going to stick to personal cards, that's still great, but you're going to get capped out a lot quicker than if you open more cards and if you get into business cards as well.
The other thing is on Travel Mom Squad, we showcase a wide variety of travel. Like you'll often see Pam traveling with a friend or her husband in business class. You'll see Alex and I flying with our families of 6 on Southwest. Sometimes Alex and I go on girlfriend trips together, or couples trips with our husbands. And people will say, like, oh, I want to do that, but I have a family of 6. Or, oh, I want to do that, but I have a family of 4 and there's only 2 of you. And I love this analogy. It's like, if you have a family of 4 and you open a cookbook and you find a recipe that looks amazing, but it says serves 2, are you gonna say, "Okay, well, I guess I can't make that recipe for my family of 4 because it only serves 2?" Like, no, you're just gonna double the ingredients and you're gonna make the recipe. It's the same with points and miles. Like, you're gonna need more points. The more people you have, the more points you're gonna need. That is a fact. There is no getting around that, but it is still 100% possible. We are proof of that with our 2 families of 6 that are regularly traveling multiple times a year.
Yeah. So next, Jess is going to talk to us a little bit about like the logistics of traveling around school and work schedules because this is another question we get a lot.
Yeah. So people obviously want to know, is it possible to get into points and miles if you can only travel at peak times? Like if you can only travel during spring break, if you can only travel in the summer, 100% yes. I have a double whammy because my husband is a professor. So he's got a school schedule that he follows. And then Molly's in middle school, public middle school. She has a school schedule that she follows. Unless you are homeschooling your kids, you are going to have to be following a school schedule. Alex and I, Molly's getting older. I'm not comfortable with her missing a ton of school to go on trips. Like when she was in kindergarten or first grade, and I'm like, oh, she's missing like some coloring sheets, or it was a little bit easier to justify. But like she's getting into where if she misses multiple days of school, she has a lot of catch up to do, and it's not fun for me. It's not fun for her. We almost exclusively travel school breaks, summer, things like that. I think y'all are the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take him out of school every now and then. Like, we're going to London and Amsterdam this fall, and they only have like a 3-day fall break. And so we're taking 3 days off. But I'm also look at it sometimes like, okay, they're going to learn a lot more history and culture going to Europe than they're probably going to learn in their classroom.
For sure.
And so I also think it depends on your school and their teachers. And we don't miss a very often, but we might miss a day or two based off like what the flight prices were like. But I mean, that's not very much. Like
Yeah.
we go during the school breaks and then there might be a day or two on the end of the school break that they miss.
So the nice thing is, yes, it works. We travel with our families in the summer. We travel with our families for spring break, holidays. We travel with our families. A key thing though is you're going to want to book in advance if you're doing that. If you want to get the amazing, points and miles deals, you're going to want to book in advance. Like it is currently August 2024, and Alex and I are both booking summer 2025 already. And so we're booking about a year in advance, a little less than a year in advance. And that's just kind of what you have to do if you want to snag those deals. Of course, there's always a chance that there are last minute deals that pop up. They're just not guaranteed. If you have somewhere specific that you want to go and you know where that is and you have specific dates you have to travel on, the earlier in advance you can plan, the better.
Yeah, and that's very important, especially with those really popular properties like the Andaz Papagayo in Costa Rica or the Grand Hyatt Kauai, like places like that are very popular summer, spring break, Christmas break destinations. You're going to want to book those in advance. I have like had luck sometimes where something opens up a little later and you can get lucky, but that's really not the way Jess and I roll. It's a little like stressful. But, and then sometimes if you're going more like, "Oh, we're going to San Diego," or "We're gonna go somewhere more, within the continental US," you don't have to book it as far in advance usually. Like what Jess has said before is, I get the trip, like I've heard you say before, I get the trip I want because I book it in advance. Like, you don't have to worry about it not happening. So, we would highly recommend that you start earning the points now so that you can redeem for next summer vacation sooner than later. I think 9 to 12 months is like the sweet spot. Hyatt, you can book 13 months out. And so there are times when literally we're booking as soon as that comes out. And then we worry about the flights later because, Southwest doesn't open. Like I have spring break booked and Southwest isn't open yet.
Right.
But we know we got our hotel booked.
And that's the thing is like during peak times, it's really rare to see cash deals come up. Like you don't see, oh, this amazing airline sale over winter holiday break. Like that just doesn't happen. There's always exclusions for those really popular dates. And so the nice thing about points and miles is you can still get a good deal on points and miles during those times. And that takes the sting out of it because it's like, oh, instead of paying $1,000 to fly to Europe for the Christmas markets, I'm going to pay 30,000 miles, it really helps. But we are big proponents of booking in advance unless you literally do not care where you go and you will just go wherever there's a deal.
All right. So next, we're going to talk a little about tips for saving on flights for your family. So no secret here that we are big fans of the Southwest Companion Pass. So we've talked about this like a lot and people are probably tired of it. But for anybody who doesn't know what it is you earn 135,000 Southwest Rapid Reward points in a calendar year. So from January to January and January to December 31st, I should say. You earn 135,000 of those points. We earn those through credit card welcome offers. You then earn the Southwest Companion Pass, which allows somebody to fly free with you for all of that, for the rest of that year and all of the following year. So time that up right, and you could get close to 2 years of somebody flying free with you. So this has been a game changer for our families where, if you have 6 people and you get to fly one for free that you don't have to spend any points on, it's amazing. And so in those 135,000 points, you get to use those to book your flights and then you get the person for free. So it's just a really awesome deal. You do have to pay taxes and fees, but in the US, that's $5.60 each way. So, I mean, that's pretty great. We have, I know Jess and I both have trips planned to Hawaii later this year. Peak travel time, flights were so expensive, even points wise, there are a lot of points. And being able to use a companion pass for those peak times is huge. So we love that. Another really great option for saving on flights is Air France. Air France is such a good option for getting to Europe. So especially what's really great is they offer 25% off award flights for kids ages 2 to 11. So this is for Air France and KLM operated flights. So we are actually doing this fall. Like I said, we have a trip planned to London and Amsterdam. We're flying direct from Salt Lake City to Amsterdam. Just 105,000 points for all 6 of us one way. That is one credit card welcome offer. So like that is actually mind-blowing to me that we can fly all 6 of us to Europe with one credit card welcome offer. What's really cool too about Air France is you can pull your points together into a family account. So if my husband has points that he's earned on one of his cards and he transfers them to Air France and I transfer some to Air France, we can then put our points all together in one pool, which is super nice. Another thing that I like to do with Air France is I will actually book Delta flights via Air France or via Virgin Atlantic. So we're actually flying Delta home from London, but we booked it via Virgin Atlantic and it was 20,000 points per person each way or one way home. Steal of a deal. I think Delta was charging like 60 or 70,000 points. So literally we got 3 for the price of 1 just by booking through a different carrier. So if you can take advantage of partner airlines, that can be a huge way to save more points on your flights. I know sometimes it can seem a little overwhelming knowing how those airline alliances work. And so we recommend using an award flight search engine to help you with that. So we like Rome, Points, yeah. Is it .yeah or just Points? Yeah. I think it's just Points. Yeah.
I think it's just points. Yeah.
And then Seats.arrow or Point Me, they're all really great. I like to search a couple different ones because they don't always show the same results. So if you want to search for award flights, you don't know where to begin, you don't know how all the airline alliances work, definitely use an award flight search engine. A lot of them are free. You can upgrade to paid ones that offer more flexibility for booking or a longer range of dates to search, but those are some of the ways we like to save on flights. And in addition to booking in advance, or if you're not as OCD as Jess and I, you can try to book last minute. That's kind of the hot time for booking award flights is right away or last minute.
All right, so now I'm going to go over some tips to save on hotels when it comes to traveling with a family. I have talked about this in a previous episode, but there's something called the Hyatt Family Plan. I want to start this out by saying it's not available at every Hyatt. Unfortunately, there's not an easy way to check if it's available at the Hyatt you're looking at online. So you typically have to reach out to the hotel itself and ask if they are offering the Hyatt Family Plan at that property for the dates that you're staying. But it's a really great tool for saving on more than one room. Basically, what it is you can book one room either on points or on cash, and then you can get a second room for 50% off the standard cash rate. You cannot use points for the second room, so you can't get like 50% off the points rate, but you could use points for the first room, Hyatt Family Plan for the second room, and get 50% off the standard cash rate. I've done it 4 times now, I wanna say. It really comes in handy in Europe. We used it at the Andaz London, and so we were able to book 1 room on points and get a second for 50% off the cash rate, and it was awesome to have that extra space where, rooms are very small and, occupancy limits are Small also, I think most hotels in London and Paris and big cities like that are max occupancy 2. You might find some with 3, but it's rare. And so that is something really good to look into as a possibility. Another option is looking into hotels that do have those higher occupancy rates, Hyatt Place, Hyatt House, Spring Hill Suites, properties like that that typically will have rooms with 2 queen beds and a sofa bed that can sleep up to 6 people. That's a really good option. I find myself when we're traveling as our family of 6 nowadays, all 3 of my stepkids are adults. They are adult size, and so we even if there's a hotel that, has 2 queens and a sofa bed, we do not all want to cram into that room. And so we have definitely been more on the book 2 rooms kind of thing, which obviously is not great because it's twice as many points. But if you have smaller kids and you're cool, like cramming in there and being one big happy family, then those properties are a really good option. Another thing, Megan, our digital business manager, actually uses this trick. She uses booking.com to try and find cheaper accommodations. She doesn't use points, but she's able to find some hotels where points aren't an option, but maybe they have something like a family room that sleeps 5 or 6. I know she did that at least one, maybe 2 hotels on her recent trip to Europe with her family of 5. And so using something like booking.com to find, maybe you want to pay cash for a couple of your hotels. Like Alex said, it's not all or nothing. If you get your flights on points and then you want to use cash to stay in a hotel that has a family room or to stay in a vacation rental or Airbnb, you do you. Totally cool. If you have something like Capital One Venture Miles, you could erase those vacation rental purchases or Airbnb purchases with those miles. That's another option to, put miles towards larger accommodations for larger families.
All right, so rental cars, we get a lot of questions about this as well. And this is actually something that none of us use points on just because the value of our points used towards rental cars isn't near as high as if we use them for flights or hotels. But you definitely can use your points for rental cars. You can do this in the bank portal, with your Chase Ultimate Rewards. Your points are worth 1.25 cents if you have the Sapphire Preferred or the Ink Business Preferred, and you could book a rental car there. You could use the Capital One Purchase Eraser if you wanted to. So if your goal is to get your cost trip or whatever down to 0, you can totally, totally do that. It's just not something that we like to do. Instead, we use Costco or Auto Slash to find the best deals. I like to check both of that. So Auto Slash, basically how it works is you just put in the information and it scours the internet to find the cheapest deals and it emails them to you. And so I will check that and Costco, and it kind of like varies between the two which one ends up being the cheapest. So another way to save on your rental car. So even though we don't use points, we're always looking for ways to, save the most or make the whole rental car experience a little bit better. And so we always pay for our car rentals with either a Chase Sapphire Preferred or a Venture X card because these cards come with primary auto coverage, and then we can waive the coverage that the rental company is trying to offer us. So this is a great way to save on that. I actually have had to use this before, so it is very nice to have when you're in that situation. So another option too is if you have the Venture X card, you do get that $300 travel credit each year when you renew your card. And so you could use that $300 credit in the Capital One travel portal towards a rental car. So that's a great option for that. Another thing for rental cars is it is really annoying when you get to the airport and you've got the kids, everybody's tired, you're sick of being on your flight, and then you have to wait in a really long line to get your rental car. So instead of waiting in that long line, make sure ahead of time you sign up for that rental car company's loyalty program. So Budget, for example, has Budget Fast Break. It is totally free to sign up, and then you can avoid that long line and you just go to a separate area. They have the car, they have the keys, they have everything ready and waiting for you. And it just makes the whole process so much easier. Another thing is some of the premier credit cards, like the Ink, I mean, not the Ink, the American Express Business Platinum, for example, offer a status to rental car companies. And then if, let's say, you're renting from a company that you don't have status with, you can match to that status. So that's actually what Jess does. Jess has got this all figured out. She's a car rental renter pro. I don't
Oh
know.
my gosh. Yeah, so the Capital One Venture X comes with Hertz President Circle status. Unfortunately, that's ending at the end of 2024. So if you currently have a Venture X or a Venture X business, hurry up and do this before December 31st. Basically, I don't like renting from Hertz. My favorite is Avis, personally. Like, we always have the best service with Avis, and we always skip the line, and it's not an issue. And so we matched Ted's Hertz President Circle status that comes with his Venture X to Avis Preferred. If you have an Amex Platinum or a Business Platinum, you can also just get Avis Preferred status that way. But if you don't and you do have a Venture X, this is a way to match it. And then I've never had an issue booking an Avis rental through Costco and just putting Ted's Avis member number in the booking, and then they still honor his status. We still get to skip the line. We still get an upgraded car. Like when we went to visit you in Salt Lake, I booked just an intermediate car through Avis via Costco Travel. And when we got there, we got to skip the line, and they had upgraded us to a Dodge Durango. So we got like an SUV. We went from intermediate to SUV for the same price. And so
Nice.
some nice perks like that.
Yeah, and that's worked for me too so a lot of times if you do auto slash, you'll get a Priceline rental, and I have been able to put my Hertz membership in Priceline, and then I recommend having the app for that rental car company you're renting from, and then I'll just make sure that my reservation is showing up in the Hertz app, and then I know, okay, like my status is going to be honored. Also, I I had the last time I rented from Avis. I'm glad you've had good experience because mine was not. So I would recommend not renting from Avis at San Diego Airport because we went. I was gonna share this story when it first happened. I was like, no, I'm not gonna be one of those like complainers or anything like that. I'm not gonna make Avis look bad, even though they weren't great. But we went to San Diego for spring break, and then we got home like months later. We went to the beach one time while we were there because we were just doing other stuff. We're doing like zoo safari park, hanging out at the hotel. We went to the zoo or the beach once. We weren't even in swimsuits. So like we weren't getting super wet and sandy. So we get in the car, or anyways, like a month or two later, we get home, and I got a letter saying that I owed them like $150 because they had to clean the car from so much sand. And so I contact them like, we went to the beach once, and this is San Diego.
Yeah.
Like, I think you should expect to get some sand in the car. They sent me these pictures. They said like they had to send it out for cleaning. I'm like, it's sand. You just use a vacuum. Like it shouldn't cost $150 to vacuum sand. So they gave me like half of it back, but I still had to pay like $75. And I was so bucks. I'm like, you're in San Diego. Like we go to Hawaii fairly regularly, and you should see the cars when they come back to those rental lots in Hawaii. They're so sandy. And anyways, I'm like, this was a scam. I got scammed in San Diego Airport.
Alex is not going to status match to Avis Preferred.
No, you know what? I will give them a chance at another rental lot, but you've been warned, everybody. Don't rent from Avis San Diego.
If there is sand involved, don't rent from Avis.
Or go to the whatever car wash and vacuum it out. I'm like, you have a vacuum. I'm sure you have a vacuum at your place, and somebody is like, you shouldn't have to charge $150 to vacuum out a car. But anyways, I digress.
I think it's time to bring the kids out.
Okay, we've got the kids. I got Noah here, and Noah is 3 turning 4, and we'll see how this goes. So Noah, what is your favorite trip we've gone on?
Mexico.
Can you say it one more time? What's your favorite trip?
Mexico.
Mexico?
What did you do there?
What did you like about Mexico?
Don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
Yeah.
You just like going with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to go on our next trip?
Florida.
Florida? Did you have fun when we went to Florida this year? Yeah.
What about Jess's house? You want to come to Houston?
He nodded his head yes. Okay, we'll let the 3-year-old get out of here. Okay, this is Cruz. Cruz, how old are you?
I'm 10.
Okay, and what's your favorite trip we've ever gone on?
Mexico.
Mexico again. So tell us, where did we stay in Mexico?
The Ziva Hotel.
The Ziva. And what did you like about the Ziva?
It was all inclusive.
So you just like getting all the food and drinks. Do you have like favorite food and drinks there that you like a lot?
The candy shop.
Candy shop. All right.
All-inclusive candy shop. It's always going to win. You can't beat it.
Yeah, I know, right? Where are you really hoping we go on a vacation sometime?
Bahamas.
All right. There you have it.
I think your mom can make that happen.
I think we can. But like Jess said, we're already booked out through next year. And so through next summer, so it might be a while. Oh, Cruz has another that he forgot to share. What else? What is else on your like travel bucket list?
Singapore first class suite.
And where did you get that idea?
Grandma.
You saw Grandma find Singapore suites and you decided I want to do that?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a good goal. And going from Southwest to Singapore Suites is going to be quite the change.
Oh, yeah. When he turned 10, we went to San Antonio and he got to fly Delta and he was thinking like that Delta was going to be some really grand thing compared to Southwest. And he's like, oh, this isn't that much different, right? It wasn't that much different flying Delta.
Yeah, I just had the TV on the back of the seats.
Yeah.
Okay. Molly, it's your turn. How old are you?
11.
11. Okay. And what has been a vacation that we've taken on Points and Miles that you have really enjoyed?
Alaska.
Okay. Alaska.
I knew she was going to say Alaska.
I knew she was going to say, so we went on a Disney cruise to Alaska, technically did not use Points and Miles for the cruise itself, but I did use Points and Miles to fly us to Vancouver and to stay at the Hyatt Regency Vancouver before and after our cruise. So we will say it halfway counts as a Points and Miles trip.
I mean, it did look amazing. So I can see why you chose that, Molly. It looked really awesome.
And then where do you really want to go next on Points and Miles?
Japan.
Japan. Well, you're in luck because we're going to Japan for spring break and we're flying business class to Japan.
Molly, are you more excited to fly business class or what are those banana treats that you have? What were those things, Jess?
Oh, Tokyo Banana.
Tokyo Banana. What are you most excited for?
Business class, because Dad always complains about how we can't go on business class. And he's always like, oh, we have to go in economy. There's no leg room.
Well, I'm glad you won't have to listen to your dad complain this time, Molly.
It always in the middle of flight, he's always like,
Jess, you've created a monster with your Points and Miles.
He's gonna really love this contribution.
You can't spoil them with your Points and Miles now.
And he's always like, what airline are we flying? And I say Southwest. And he's like, Southwest doesn't have first class or business class. And I'm like, that's true. All right. Who's next?
Kai is next. Kai, tell everybody how old you are.
I'm 8 years old, and
What's your favorite trip that we've gone on?
my favorite trip was Mexico.
Okay, so what hotel was that? We're seeing a trend here.
That Hyatt Ziva.
Hyatt Ziva. What did you like so much about it?
How when we went to Grandma went with us, and our cousins did too.
That was really fun. See, Jess, he said it was so fun because Grandma went with us. So we do not just invite them so we can get them to split rooms with us.
Yeah, Jess.
And Kai is the one who always sleeps in Grandma's room, huh? That's like their thing. My mom will say, who's sleeping in Grandma's room? And Kai always says, me. Huh. It's your guys' tradition.
That's awesome.
Yep. So where do you want to go on our next trip? Where's somewhere you want to go?
I don't know.
You don't have any like places that you wish we could visit someday?
Brazil, kinda.
Brazil?
Yeah, I was thinking of Brazil.
Yeah, Cruz was thinking Brazil too. Why do you want to go to Brazil?
Because I want to see what Dad's mission was like.
Oh, yeah. Their dad served a 2-year mission there for our church. And so they want to go back and see what Brazil's like, huh? I think that'd be really cool. All right. Last but not least, we have Eli. Okay, Eli, tell everybody how old you are.
I'm 12.
You're 12 years old, just getting ready to start middle school. And what's your favorite trip we've been on?
It's gonna be surprising, but it's Cancun, Mexico.
Hyatt Ziva, right?
Oh my gosh, they all said Mexico.
I was fun though.
Yeah, they love Hawaii too, huh?
Yeah.
What did you like about the Hyatt Ziva so much?
Well, it's all inclusive, and it also made it better that our cousins went. It's very nice hotel, and I
You liked the beach there too, didn't
yeah,
you?
the beach is really fun, but mostly the workers there are very nice and play games with you.
Yeah. So that was really fun, huh? The last time we were there, the workers, one in particular would like Guillermo,
Yeah.
but you guys called him Memo, right?
Yeah.
They called him Memo. And like he would come and find the kids at the pool and play Uno with you guys, soccer with them. He brought them candy from home, like on his on when he knew it was our last day.
Well, it's unfortunate that Hyatt raised the price of the Ziva to 50,000 points a night.
But I think from the sound of it, what I'm like, because all my kids chose that, we're going to have to go back and maybe book one room on points and then book one room on cash. And so instead of getting in like almost free stay like we usually do, we'll just get like a half off stay or something like that. Oh, I forgot. Eli, forgot to ask Eli his last question. Where do you want to go next? What's a place you really want to go to?
Turks and Caicos.
Okay, what do you want to do? Why Turks and Caicos?
I don't know. My cousins were talking about it, and I thought it was a cool name. And then my cousin said it was the best place he's ever been, and now I want to go.
Well, the good news is they're in the process of building an Andaz in Turks and Caicos, a Hyatt Andaz. And so I did tell them when that Andaz is done, we will go. And you know who I bet would be more than happy to join us there?
Our cousins, Grandma.
Grandma will definitely go. I'll go too. We could just have a whole Travel Mom Squad family retreat in Turks and Caicos.
There we go. We like that.
Points and miles have completely changed how we travel with our families and have made some pretty incredible memories possible for us. If you've been on the fence about getting into points and miles, what are you waiting for? Register for our free webinar, How to Get Your Next Vacation for Nearly Free, and learn our exact method for earning and redeeming points and miles so you can start traveling with your family like this too.